All right, tubers. Fuel sending unit is in. The vent lines are plugged. There's what we were waiting on. And it's got a little pop-in deal where it just pops in, and then your wiring harness piece will pop in right there. So that's the lead wire that we were waiting on. Obviously, the ground wire comes with the sending unit ready to roll. Putting a sending unit in is pretty self-explanatory. Just don't forget your O-ring. And again, this is not how-to stuff. This is just me doing it. There's a lot of how-to videos available. But for this, I mean, like I say, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you've ever taken one out, you know how it comes out. You know how it goes back in. So we'll bring you back. We're going to get over there and get the tank in place. First of all, even though we've got this sprayed and the braces are also sprayed with Raptor, we've got that rubber stuff. We're going to put a layer of it down here on each one of these braces, and we're going to put a layer on top of the tank where the straps will go, just for a little extra, maybe anti-squeak protection. So as we get this thing wrapped up, we'll turn it back on and show you. There's the finished product. Gas tank is installed. The only thing we have not done yet is hook up the ground wire, and we're going to have to bare a place in here, probably on one of these brackets, and shoot us in a screw there to hold the ground wire, make sure we get a good ground to that. Fuel line obviously runs over to the passenger side of the car. We went ahead and tied in about a 2-foot piece of flex that will go around inside that frame rail. I'm not sure exactly where the hard line ends up, but I know you can buy those pre-made, and that's probably what we're going to do. I'm not sure if it ends up down in here, up in here, or whatever, but if we need to, we can change that out, put a longer piece, or cut it back, whatever we need to do. But that's the plan for now. One thing we did have to do was drill a hole where the lead wire comes up under the tank and then plugs into the wiring harness inside the trunk, up under the lip there. We had to drill a hole so we could plug that grommet in, and then you can just pull the wire as much as you need and tie it all off however you want it. Try to get it up under, out of the way is the main thing. But that's kind of what it's looking like. One more thing we can cross off the list, tubers. While we were kind of messing around a little bit late yesterday afternoon, we got to looking, and we know we got rust issues with the rotors and the calipers. And I really don't understand. I guess just that there was nothing on them, and I should have done something before I put all this mess together, but I didn't think about it. So now we got to take all this apart and clean them up good and paint the calipers, and we'll put us a light coat or something on the rotors maybe to help that situation out. But that's what they look like. They look terrible. And that's kind of what they look like after you do one. And don't ask me why red. I had some red, some enamel. Obviously, the better systems come powder coated, you know. But this was just kind of a middle of the road price deal, and I didn't think anything about them starting to rust like they did. But that's what we're going to do, is clean it all up, paint the calipers, and we'll put us a light coat of oil on the rotors to try to help that along. So but we're going to jump on the brake line on the car for now. We'll let this go till maybe one day in the afternoon and finish this other side. And then we got to do both of the front ones too, because they're the same way. So when we have some progress, we'll bring you back. All right, YouTubers. Unfortunately, the clamps that came with the brake line kit have the wire, or not wire, but rubber guard protector piece. And when you crimp these together and start to mount them, it will not go over this gravel guard. I think they were designed just to go over the steel line, which is not a big deal to me. The reason why is the ones that were on here that went over this gravel guard did not have a rubber insert either. So what we did is we took one and we took the rubber piece off, and we're going to see how this mounts. We're just going to zip this one in there and see what it looks like, if it works. And I believe that that will be just fine. It's over the guard part of it, and it's holding it in there good and snug. And we're just going to go along everywhere they had one from the factory. We're going to pre-drill and shoot one of these in and get it done. And there's a little closer shot of what that ends up looking like. I think that'll be fine. So we'll get busy and we'll go ahead and mount this, and that'll be this brake line on this side done. And then whenever we get our fuel line ordered, we'll obviously do probably something similar. All right, YouTube, we just come along and mounted the brake line everywhere there was a place that the factory had done it. Just came along and mounted, pre-drilled, and shot our bolts in there good and tight, and that's what we ended up with. Boy, I hope that flares good. It looks good, it looks fine. And then that little flex line will tie to it, and then you'll come off of it and go to those flex lines that are hard mounted to the rear end. But anyway, inside the frame rail and all the way down to the front of the car. We'll see if we can give you a, now you ain't gonna be able to see the whole thing, but alright, just one more thing we can mark off the list. We got the brake line run and mounted. We're gonna flip it over and cut off that excess and take the air hose and blow it out, and then we're going to put some tape over each end just to keep the dirt daubers out of it maybe. Alright, we'll bring it along. Alright, there's a little quick look at the way it comes up, and then all we did was just kind of bend it back out of the way and cut it off and crimp it right there. That gives us what should hopefully be plenty once we start with the master cylinder. Brake booster, master cylinder, we should have plenty there, and we'll just cut this spring back out of the way, do whatever we're going to do with the brake line. Obviously we'll have to flare it over here, which will be a little bit of a task. It's much easier to flare those ends with that little tool in a vise. I found that out, but we'll get it done. But that's what we did. That's what we did. Just want to give you a quick shot of that. We'll bring you back when we have progress. We're just coming along tying up some of these little loose ends underneath here. The ground wire, we took our little belt sander and exposed the bare metal. We got the Raptor and the epoxy out of the way, just a little area there. And then we'll come back and touch that up with some paint. Our little piece of rubber tubing, we just took and split and slid on over that. We loosened up our strap so we could get it in between. Shouldn't have any problems in there. It's snug, but I don't think it's too tight, but I think we'll be fine with that. And there again, that's our piece that'll lay in there and tie to the hard line. All right, looking fairly good. Making a little progress today. Not a whole lot, but making a little. We'll keep at it. We'll see what we're gonna do next. We've got this one to do, clean up. Obviously, it's looking a lot better on that side. Our little shorty piece of brake line here will mount to the differential. All right, tubers, our battery went dead as we were talking about this little shorty piece of hose that mounts to the rear end of the car and hooks up to the hard line that we've got running. And the 3/16 line comes from each caliper. You got your flex line with your banjo bolts and all that, and then there's your hookup point, and you got to bend and make these. And we went ahead and tried our hand at that little 3/16 line. It's about the same as far as flaring as the 1/4 inch line. Not much to it. There's where we're going to mount, or that's actually where it was mounted originally. If this piece happens to come up a little short, I'm hoping it doesn't, but we can move this thing around to a different location and get it a little closer and give us a little more room. But I also think I can pull that away from the car down toward the rear end if we have to. We've got plenty, and that's what we were talking about way earlier. So we've got the next one, the little short one, to bend and do, and that's probably going to have to wait till sometime during the week or next weekend. Long week coming up. We've probably got 6 days of it, so we might not have a whole lot to do next weekend. We'll just have that one day, so we might not get a lot done. But anyway, that's what's up. This is what's up. This is what we've been up to. There's that one cleaned up and done again, and there's that one that hadn't been cleaned up and done. One quick little tip, and again, I don't do how-to videos, but if there's something that I pick up along the way that might benefit somebody, I'll definitely share it. This little brake line flare tool that I bought was the El Cheapo, and I watched several videos, how-to videos, and there's some guys on there that know exactly what to do, how to do. They can do it with these cheap ones, they can do it with the expensive ones, but the key to this right here, in my opinion, is getting this thing in a vise. If you get this thing in a vise, you can flare these brake lines. It's much, much easier, in my opinion. But there again, some people may choose to hold them in their hand and do it. I couldn't do it. I could not hold the brake line and flare this brake line and make the flares look good. But as soon as I mounted it in the vise, it wasn't that big of a deal. So that's the way to go. If you're planning on doing any of that, put it in a dang vise. Let it help you. That's what they're for, to help hold stuff. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Everybody that's jumped on new. Appreciate all the old subscribers. Everybody that's been here from the get-go. Always. Until we can get back out here. Maybe some next week. Maybe next weekend for sure. Fishing weather coming up. We've been one time this year. We definitely plan on trying to do a little more fishing. So we'll be back though for sure. All right, tubers.